without further ado, number 10 on the Minnesota Wild prospect top 20 list. We have Adam Banach, and Z, I'm pretty sure your only show notes to me via text were, yeah, we got to talk about this dude. And I'm like, good, we're gonna.
Yeah, Adam Banach, obviously starting off very hot in the OHL. Let me just pull up, let me make sure I have the right number of games here. Through 6 games, he's got 3 goals and 10 assists for 13 points. Brantford is just ripping teams apart as well. Him and O'Brien cannot stop scoring. He's been playing a lot with the Merrick Banneker kid too. So as far as OHL rankings go, he's second in assists, right behind Carson Woodall of Windsor. That's 15. Windsor and Brantford are really just taking the season by storm. The fucking Woodall kid, he's an 06. I can't remember. I think he went undrafted, but he's got no goals but 15 assists through 11 OHL games, which is like just ridiculous. But Banach, very noticeable, playing center and wing, offensively dynamic, all the things that we've talked about him that made him such like a talented player. And again, like if he wasn't 5'7", he probably would have been drafted significantly higher than the 4th round where the Wild got him. But just unpredictable on the puck, really good passer. He's been willing to shoot a little bit more as well. He's been really good just like getting them into the offensive zone too through transition. But I mean, very noticeable every time he jumps over the boards, and again, a huge part of that Brantford offense. So it's been very fun to watch him just torch. So he's been great.
I'm wondering, because he played in the USHL last year, then we had the rule change, and now CHL kids can go and play college hockey. Was the original path for Adam Banach to come over and try and play college hockey? And that's why he shifted to the OHL, because like he can do that as part of that path? Or do we have just no clue?
I'm not sure. I didn't look into that, but I mean, like, he played pro hockey in Czechia, so I don't know. I didn't. Now apparently it doesn't matter.
Playing, so it doesn't.
Now it doesn't. Apparently
it didn't even matter before. Like Canucks have a kid who played pro hockey, and he's playing for I think he's playing for BU now.
There's been
he played like 4 or 5 games in the SHL, but can play college hockey.
I do think that they've got some exceptions for Europe, because it's like that's all that they can do.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hoppy, regardless, it's win-win now, because like Z said, like this team is just stacked, and it's crazy because they're stacked with young guys, man. Like Malhotra's kid's 17, and he's like crushing it right now too. So I think it was just a good opportunity. And if college hockey was the path, or if it was just even a consideration, it's like, okay, well now we still have that door open, and we're going to a sick OHL team.
Now, let's make this relatable for the Minnesotans. There's another height deficient guy who went in the 4th round of this year's draft. Give me a little compare and contrast on Adam Banach versus LJ Mooney.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest differences with those two is just the speed, like the foot speed. Like LJ Mooney versus Banach, it's not close. And I think LJ makes a whole lot more flashy plays. The thing with Banach that's pretty impressive is how well he's been able to get in the just like middle ice. LJ Moody is obviously not afraid, but like so much of his play has been on the periphery of the last couple of years. But obviously both very impressive. Both are capable of some like highlight reel plays. And I mean, there's always going to be big question marks just about like the translatability. Because I mean, it's one thing to put up all these points playing OHL. What LJ is doing with Minnesota right now, like how many times he stands out whenever he jumps over the boards, is very impressive as well. So I think maybe just like when you look at the two of them, they're pretty similar skill sets. I think LJ might be a little more flashy. And I think Banach, the fact that he at least has the ability to play in the middle of the ice is obviously appealing as well. But both high skill, high end players. LJ plays a little more speed, a little more flashy. And Banach's a fairly well-rounded game. But I mean, defensively he's solid as well. So that might be the key difference there, just between center and wing and the two-way ability. Because I mean, if LJ is going to be in your playing in as an NHL regular, like you're leaning on him for points, stand out, ideally like get into that top 6. Banach, you might be able to feature throughout your lineup a little bit more. So I'd say upside probably closer to LJ, or LJ's upside probably higher, just a little bit. But that being said, again, like Banach does not lack skill, but he's got a little bit. Pace is going to be a question mark, and then it's kind of offsets though with the fact that he can play a pretty well-rounded game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the argument is Banach probably has more paths, whereas LJ has to be like a top 6 guy if he's going to make it.
Yeah.
Fair. Now we got him ranked at 10, and we talked about it when we did our initial rankings. We did the honorable mentions, and we did 16 through 20, and we said, you know, obviously there's the shiny new toy effect. Like, is this a guy that, taking a step back, like looking at the whole pool, the start to the season can't be ignored. It's been great. Like, what do you need to see from him this year to solidify that he is a top 10 Minnesota Wild prospect?
I mean, honestly, just keep doing what he's doing right now. Like every time that he's on the ice, he's standing out. So you want to see him thrive offensively. Should produce a lot in the OHL, just given his track record, how much he's produced in other leagues. Again, the first half of that USHL season last year, he was probably just getting used to the North American game. Second half, he looked really good. I think he still finished with at least a point per game. But so, I mean, realistically, just want him to keep producing, driving offense, being a key component to their scoring in Brantford. And again, anytime if he can continue to work on like just the skating, maybe a little bit more agility, add a little bit more speed to his game, like that's obviously going to go do wonders for him. It's always going to be tough as like a guy that plays middle of the ice and you're 5'7". Like it's going to be a lot of adjustment, but like, I mean, so far he's obviously taking strides. So realistically, just keep doing what he's doing. Should be producing points. Should be killing penalties. Should be on their power play and driving offense.
Okay. And I guess I didn't lead with this like I have in the past, but the highest rank in the pool was at 7 from Brett Marshall. Lowest on him, Isha at 12, and that's purely because Isha doesn't acknowledge anyone outside of the WHL. So Isha probably would have had him ranked like 6.
It wasn't that. It was just like when we were making this list, I didn't know much about him other than his first few games in the OHL. So I was like, okay, that's sick, but maybe it's lightning in a bottle. So I'm just not going to put him as high. But it went from like 15 or 14 up to 12. Okay, so he did make the jump. And again, I didn't put Stevie at 1, so this is just my cop out for
that. Took some real willpower.
I know.
Okay. Well, there we have it. That is number 10, Adam Banach.
Oh boy. 3-2.
Oh, geez. I thought you were talking to me. I'm like, what? Okay. Fine. Moving on to 9. The man they call Riley Heidt, who is finally old enough to make the jump, will be playing for the Iowa Wild this year after an incredible season 2 years ago. The real coming out party there with Prince George Cougars of the WHL. Last year, he was kind of pigeonholed. It was a year too early for him to make the jump to college hockey. He was not old enough because of stupid rules to play in the AHL. So he went back and basically just got stale and did exactly what he did. What do we think of him? We've got, let's see, 9 is the cumulative ranking. We have 7 as the highest from Pavel of Minnesota Wild Prospects. And Mateo hates him at 11. We're all pretty tight here in these rankings, 7 to 11 for everybody. Isha, I'll let you kick this one off since he did play in the WHL, so you don't hate him.
Yeah, and I grew up in Prince George, so love the Cougars. Love that he developed there. No, like you said, last year, like I wouldn't say like took a huge jump, and it's not like he did what like Hunter Haight did and like really just focused like on his game defensively in a turnaround year where his offense was kind of the same. He still like he led the team in points. He was the driver offensively, played well on special teams, was still the guy. It's just so funny how, like you said, he was too young to play in the AHL. Team Canada didn't give a shit about him, and now he's too old to play for the World Juniors. But now that he's finally playing pro, I think sure would have last year in the AHL been probably better than going back to juniors, sure, but with the caveat that it was an absolute shit show in Iowa last year, and he might have just been still too undersized. It might just work out because he looks pretty comfortable so far. And I know it's very early and it's not like I was doing well, but like I haven't seen too many like gaping holes in his game, too many big mistakes so far. Down in the AHL in his first couple games, he had a nice goal, shot from the slot, just like one of the many ways he scored in junior, but one of his main spots that he likes to score, and the fact he's able to do that the next level where everything's just upgraded is pretty awesome to see. And yeah, I think he's gonna have to marinate a little bit just to get used to just the size of the game. It's obviously a little bit faster as well. I don't think the speed is going to be an issue for him. I just think playing with bigger dudes where like even in the WHL he like fit in physically was just levels above most of them, hockey IQ and skill wise. But so far I've liked what I've seen in the AHL, and I'm just excited and rooting for him.
Z, what do we need to see from this guy this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Realistically, the big question I have with Riley Heidt, I don't know if I put it in like the concern categories. I'm still just trying to figure out exactly what he is at the next level. Like, obviously, he's played 2 AHL games now, scores a goal in his debut, looked nice, playing on that top line with Bankier, who was, it was Heidt, Bankier, and Foodie. And again, looked comfortable. 2 tough games to start for Iowa. Like, they played 2 very good teams and kind of got the doors blown off them. But I mean, again, gets on the score sheet in that first game with a goal, played right around 17 minutes or so, looked pretty comfortable. But like at this point, he projects to me probably more of a winger. He can play from the outside. He can still shoot. So it looks like a guy that can probably be a middle 6 scoring guy, but like who knows? He might be a bottom 6 because he is solid defensively. He can kill penalties. He has before. But I'm still just trying to figure out exactly what he is as an NHL player. And I think he's probably got a longer path than maybe a lot of people anticipated like 2 years ago, like after that like real insane WHL season where he putting up ridiculous points. So that's my big question with him is exactly what he's going to be. Again, is he going to be a scoring top 6 guy in the AHL this year, hopefully, and continue to kind of just develop that way, really round out the 2A game like you have to when you play for Greg Cohn. So that'll be probably good for his development. But again, my big question is just exactly what is he going to be? So what do we need to see this year? I don't know. Again, another guy that probably needs to continue working just like the foot speed. He's going to have to be able to get rid of the puck a little bit quicker than he has in the past. Like he likes to hang on to it, make plays. He's patient, but sometimes that can bite him in the butt. But realistically, you want to see him chip in some offense, play a well-rounded game, kind of take a step forward that way. But yeah, no, that's just trying to exactly map out. I think Pronman mentioned that when he went on with you and Joe a couple weeks ago. Like he was just trying to figure out what is he in the NHL. Like is he because he doesn't project as a top 6 guy, but is he a bottom 6 like defensive guy? I don't know that either. Is he a center? Is he a wing? Again, projects to me right now more like a wing, but we'll see. But yeah, so there's hopefully just kind of like carving out an identity in Iowa. It's going to be a big goal this season.
Yeah, and for me, a big part of putting him at 8 is like I hinted at Banach and comparing him to LJ Mooney, but like there's so many ways he can get there. And him and another player that will be part of this list tonight, I have never seen 2 players who are so fucking confident in themselves. And like, it's not in an arrogant way at all. Like you can just tell, like he knows who he is. He has no question what he's about. Dude's going to work his bag off and the skill is there, but I'm with you. if you ask me 5 years from now, if he's in the Wild lineup, like where is he slotted in? I have no clue. None whatsoever.
It's like I don't know where he is in the lineup, but like I'm confident he'll be in the NHL because of that.
Yeah,
like you said,
100%. He has a place. I just have no clue what that place is. And I'm with Z that this is a big year to determine a little bit more of what that path is. And I don't think it necessarily means he's going to get pigeonholed into any of like those one spots, but it's going to be interesting to see him playing with the big boys and seeing if he can handle the expectations of Cronin, seeing if he can handle, maybe he gets a couple spot starts, because we know the Wild aren't going to stay healthy. It never happens. They will not be healthy this season. He's a guy that I could absolutely see getting a couple of games of look when that comes to fruition, because you can slap him in and he can figure it out anywhere, hopefully. But I have so much belief in this guy. Got to be honest. Like if I had one designated son in the prospect pool, I would probably say it's Riley Heidt.
Sasky boys, man, they're built different.
All right, well, that is good.
So there you go. They're built different.
Built different. All right, then. That is number 9, Riley Heidt. On to number 8 in the Minnesota Wild prospect top 20. Carson Lambos, which I was very unsure where a guy like this was going to land. When he got drafted, we were pretty freaking pumped. Like the things this guy did for the Winnipeg. How many different name changes have they had? We're just going to go back to Winnipeg Ice. And
for Kootenay and Winnipeg. Played 5 games when they were Kootenay.
And Wenatchee.
I don't think he played when they were Wenatchee.
He didn't play there, no. But it's just like, holy shit, that franchise has been thrown through the ringer. But this is a guy that like people were very excited about. I know Z among the top of that list when the Wild were able to get him with their second pick in that draft. And then there's been the just complex nature of how shitty things have been in Iowa. And I don't know what any of our prospects are because of it. But I don't think I'm alone in saying that looking at training camp and preseason, this is an NHL player.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's here or not, whether it's this year or not, this is an NHL player. But it's just tough, like, looking at a player like this and figuring out, okay, I don't know where he slots in with the Minnesota Wild in their future. It's a little bit harder for me to properly assess his ranking. So I'm the lone person that's outside of the top 10. I had him at 11, but it really comes down to, I believe in the player. I just, when I'm that unsure about whether his future is here, it makes me a little bit more sheepish. And we still haven't really seen it on a stretch run at the NHL level. And with defensemen, you've got to give them a little bit more time and leeway, but you know, the fan base is not going to see it the same way. So I don't know. I still have all the belief in Carson Lambos, but I do think there's other guys in the pool that I have much more belief in, especially when you look at 2 of the defensemen that we haven't talked about yet in this prospect pool that are, for me, sure things.
Yeah, I think with Lambos, it's kind of tough to like reconcile how like there's been a lack of like offensive production. I mean, you can understand when you like just look at like his usage since getting drafted, like when dating back to the WHL, and then obviously the last 2 years in Iowa. But like the offensive skills that he every once in a while still like shows flashes of versus like the lack of production just in terms of like offense being put on the board. It's just like sometimes it's just like confusing, but again, like it's been a lot of it's the environment, and again, like in the WHL specifically, like that last year or 2 that he was there, it was just like the usage, like he wasn't like they were using like an overager on their power play and everything. But I mean, like every once in a while, like you still just see the flashes, like his mobility at the blue line, so the fakes, and just like the skill, and he's got a absolute bomb of a shot. You can hammer pucks. You'd expect just like when you watch his tape that there would be more points. But that being said, it's just like he is with where he's been used in Iowa in like such a shitty environment for defensemen. It's just been tough. But like he is a solid defender. Like again, I think just the fact that he did get a call up last year. Yes, he did play. Like, but the fact that they even like called him up to be someone potentially to make their NHL debut says that like they're not necessarily like upset with like his development or whatever, but
dude, the fact he was a plus player last year at all,
yeah,
just as a, whereas you look at like poor Rook who just got absolutely buried and sent off.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, he was logging hard defensive minutes, like uses a matchup guy, obviously killing tons of penalties down there. I think that first game this year played over 20 minutes on that top pair with Kierstead, but he's just like such an intriguing prospect. Again, like you said, who knows if it's going to be in Minnesota. I still think there's a spot for him, down the line. Like he can be like a 4 or 5 that's going to be able to like be on your second power play unit. Again, like he's going to kill penalties for you. He's a really good defender. He moves really well. He just hasn't really been put in a position since he's been drafted, like again, WHL and AHL, to be like the go-to guy for offense on the back end. Like he just hasn't had that opportunity yet. But again, I think his game still has grown really well, or he's showed solid development like defensively. So I think there's a good NHL defenseman in there. Like, so we'll see what this year brings. I would imagine he's one of those guys that, considering it's Minnesota, we know like the health thing. He is. And he got called up last year. I would imagine he gets his debut this year at some point. How many games, who knows? But it's just been he's in a weird spot in this pool, where like I think he probably has deserved to come up and like get a few games under his belt the last year or two. Just hasn't turned out that way. But I still am high on Lambos. I still think he can be like number 4, number 5 defenseman. Again, like even if he's a bottom pair D-man that you can throw in your second power play unit that's going to kill penalties, that kill hard minutes for you. Like I think that's a valuable piece of your pool. What's he going to be, 23 now? So he's still fairly young. This is usually like that year though that like you want to see them take a step. So we'll see what it looks like with Cronin in Iowa, how much more offensive leash he gets. Because I mean he's their number 1 defenseman down there right now. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm still a big believer in Lambos. I love his game, love the way he plays. Obviously, he's a leader too, so big fan of Lambos, and hopefully we see him once or twice this year.
I would even say too, though, that the development defensively has been the biggest reason that I am a believer for him, because like the offense was never a concern, and you look at a guy like no one thinks back to Chris Letang's early years and remembers him being the definition of a liability defensively. Then he's basically become the perennial snub annually for Norris consideration. Like he's always like just on the outside. And he took a good bit of time to figure out the defensive side of things. But then once he had it, he was golden. And I feel like Lambos has picked it up a lot quicker than I maybe expected. And granted, you've watched a lot more of him, Z, so maybe it's not as much of a surprise to you, but I feel like he's really grabbed onto that. I guess it's really the only thing he could do with the Iowa team.
Well, yeah. And last year, like he was like, and again, I think Ryan O'Rourke got too much flack just because like he ate a bunch of hard minutes and just had to play 100% a defensive role. But I think like Lambos was probably like the best guy on the back end last year. Like, and just one of the better, like, obviously, like, Ogren was a standout offensively, but I liked what I saw defensively from him last year. You saw those flashes that Z already talked about. I mean, I don't really have much more to add other than I love the little things he does, like, on the blue line, especially on special teams. And, yeah, I think that this guy's going to be an NHL player. And, maybe... Who knows if everybody on the back end for the Wild is going to work out? Like, and I'm looking at you, Jiricek. Like, I'm confident, but like, if not, then like this guy will be like the next guy up that they probably focus on. Or like with Hoppy, with injuries, this is probably going to be one of their next defensive call-up guys. Depending on how Hunt does if and when he gets some time playing. So, 22, 23, I think it would have been nicer to see some more offensive numbers, but that sucks for him that he's on a shitty AHL team. I think overall the developmental trajectory is just fine.
The one thing I'll add for him too, and this hasn't been like explicitly stated, but you get the idea from all the different prospects that we've interviewed on Fellowship of the Rink, he's a locker room guy. He for sure is. Like, he is just like loose, free, like goofball kind of vibe. And in a tie, that matters. Like, look at all the guys that are in the same logjam here with him. Like, he is battling with Hunt, with Juracek. There's plenty of defensemen coming up under him that he's going to have to stave off. But it's like that one little thing, it can maybe be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I'm excited to see again. Tough first 2 games for Iowa, but like I'm giddy to see how these guys fare this year.
All right. Well, that's number 8, Carson Lambos. Moving on to number 7 in the Minnesota Wild prospect top 20 rankings. Hunter Haight, the other player, when I was talking about Riley Heidt, this guy is oozing confidence. Like, it's the first time I actually felt alphaed by like one of these young kids in an interview. He didn't do anything like rude or off-putting, but I could just like the whole time I could tell him like, this kid knows he's so much fucking better than me in every way. Like, you can just tell the way he carries himself. And dude, it translates to the ice. Like, this guy is all business. And I'll admit, so the rankings here came in at consensus 7. We had 3 people, Isha, Mateo, and Pavel of Minnesota Wild prospects with a 6. Brett and I were the low men on the totem pole with 9. And I'll be honest, I tried because this was intended to be more so of a like summer ranking. So I tried to not let what he was doing in the preseason influence my decision because he was looking very good, and that definitely could have swayed my opinion.
He's still on the team.
Sample size, right? And ended up making the team. But I just like him and Riley Heidt are the guys that I have no doubt that they're going to do everything in their power to make it. Whether that's long term with the Wild or not remains to be seen. But absolute gamer. I mean, Z, just talk about what this guy did on that Mem Cup run.
Yeah, me and you should, when we were talking about the first couple of games for Minnesota here, talked about him a lot. Yeah, I mean, in that Mem Cup run, he was used more like a depth role, played a little bit of center, played a little bit of wing, but really made himself useful outside of just being like the skilled scoring center, maybe wing that they drafted like in that second round. Like what, like the appealing parts of his game, the things that stand out are like how fast he is, the hand skills, and like the playmaking ability, but like hits the AHL last year, and like still flashed all those skills, but like showed that
20 goals.
Yeah, still played really well and like was not afraid to play in the middle of the ice. He was testing out skills. He was so good, just like in transition, like through the neutral zone, gaining some offensive zone time, and creating offense that way. But like his ability to like come into this preseason as well with the NHL team and obviously make the team out of camp, given with where they're at with injuries and everything, the fact that he's been able to make himself a useful bottom 6 guy, is really impressive. Like, again, like when you just look at his overall profile, you see like a creative scoring, playmaking, like offensive winger or maybe center. But the fact that he's come in and he showed that he can give you a B game, he can like, play both sides of the ice. And he can kind of like be like a noticeable guy in your bottom 6, win faceoffs, and kind of just like chip in outside of just scoring. Like that's impressive to me. So I think like he's developed a pretty well-rounded overall game. And again, like the development in the AHL was awesome last year. And again, he's earned his spot where he is right now with this current roster. Again, I think, once they get healthy, if they ever do, I would imagine he spends the majority of the year in the AHL, which I think, again, is completely fine. Like there's no reason to rush him into the NHL right now. He's probably better served down there, like playing on in their top 6, closer to 20 minutes a night versus like 7 in the NHL. But he's just really impressive. Again, like the development of like the well-rounded game outside of just scoring, and be able to stand out and fit in. Like I think it's just just speaks to just like how well he's developed the last couple of years.
Face-offs in that first game with the Wild, unreal.
Whoa.
Ooh,
I thought it was Manny Malhotra out there for a second.
Marat Huzatinov.
That's what I was going for.
Bro, by the way, I almost bought, someone was selling his jersey on Marketplace for $10, but it was XXL, and I was like, I can't pull that off. It's like, I'd just be like wearing a comforter at that point.
Yeah, he's looking for the XXS.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, man, I love Hunter Haight. Obviously, his preseason influenced his rise in my ranking, but I will say that like it wasn't too far off anyways. I've talked about this with both of you guys. I think he's a year ahead of everyone's kind of expectation of him developmentally. The way he was able to round out his game, add more tools that were just surely going to help him at the pro level in his last year in junior, obviously worked helping to win the OHL championship. Last year was one of the bright spots in Iowa. I mean, scored more than even set guys up while still playing that two-way game as well. And yeah, it just showed that he is already like an established pro and knocking on the door to be an NHLer. And I know he's not playing tonight. You've had to get in eventually. But in the first game, I thought he was a little bit more noticeable than Ogren. Not to say that he was better, just like maybe even just tried a little bit more things, was a little bit louder when he did have the puck. But yeah, I've liked what I've seen thus far, but is playing 7 minutes a night versus the top guy going to hinder him a little bit? I mean, I'm kind of with Z. I'd like to see him play more, but I don't think this like musical chairs is going to last too much longer. I think soon the Wild are going to be okay. We're going to go with X, Y, and Z here and move forward until the other two guys are back.
All right. That brings us to the last prospect of the night. Number 6 in the Minnesota Wild prospect top 20.
Charlie.
Bit Isha, apparently. Yeah, Charlie Stramel, I mean, I feel like this
What a roller coaster
has been among the very few defenders of Charlie since his draft day. It still makes me very happy that Pronman puts him above Gabe Perreault. That's just a nice chef's kiss over all of the Wild fans who have thrown temper tantrums over taking Stramel instead of Perreault.
Great start to this season too.
Great start. But I mean, last year, that was the year, right? I talked about it in our 16 to 20 rankings. I had Stramel as a tweener last year in our rankings. I'm like, yep, this is the year that I find out if he is the real deal or if he's going to be forgotten. And holy shit, did he make an impression. And Z, to transition it over to you, nothing will ring stronger in my brain whenever Charlie Stramel comes up than the sound, just the sound effect when he took the life out of Leo Gruba.
Yeah, no, from the press box, I literally felt it. Like my sternum basically collapsed. I felt like I disintegrated.
Got the wind knocked out of you.
It was insane. But yeah, and then like you said, off to a really hot start. First 2 games, goal in the first game, 2 assists in game 2 versus UNH. So 3 points in those 2 games. But I mean, just thank God he finally ended up in the right spot for his development. Played with really good players, was like leaned on to the power play and the PK, plays well in the middle of the ice, but like he just has such the translatable game, like one of those like limited ceiling but super super high floor type players where like you just watch him play, you know he's going to be an NHL guy. I think this year, if he can continue to like work on making skilled plays at full speed, that's going to go a long way as far as like potentially projecting him higher in the lineup. Like I mean, Pronman said it too. He's someone that you could see like on a third line chipping in some like secondary offense, but again, the big value is going to be his physicality, his
And that
ability to like
fucking
defend
motor.
well. Yeah, and he's just got this nonstop motor. Like anytime if he's on the ice and there is a battle to be won, like he's going to go and win that battle. Like he engages physically every single time, knocking pucks free, puck battles, everything. He just stands out, just being a physical fucking force. And again, like we saw his scoring touch that he had last year, chipped in some goals, but good offensive numbers, obviously played really well with those top players. So again, probably definitely I think the right call going back to Michigan State for that last year college hockey, continuing to be top of the lineup guy. That Michigan State team is loaded. They're very fun to watch. So I think he's in a really good spot again to just continue developing. Obviously, like, what are you looking for this year? Similar offensive numbers. And again, if he can continue to like getting better at making those top plays, the skill plays at full speed, I think that'll just unlock a different level of offense, like moving further down the line as well. So realistically, he's just like continue doing what he's doing. Again, you want to see the production and then just work on the pace as far as like making skill plays. But I mean, he's just like, you watch him play, and I think he's also going to fit in Minnesota very well. Just whether it's third, fourth line, like the way that they want to play is how he plays, like every single night. That's the other thing about him too. He just like doesn't take a night off from that like just physical engagement. Like he's a fucking gamer. He shows up. He knows how to play one way, and he's going to do it. And obviously, just given the rope that he got last year at Michigan State, it's worked out quite well for him.
Yeah, and I think too that it's harder to see on TV, but the one thing that stood out when we were there for the both games of that series against Minnesota last year, just watching him literally line up guys from like opposite ends of the ice. Like he is dialed in, the motor kicks in, and he goes beeline and he kills people. Like he is a murderer, and I love that about him. And
Billy G probably is just salivating whenever he watches those.
Oh, absolutely. And he's just a guy too that kind of like Z said, but like I don't need to see anything from him this year. Just don't take a significant step back, right? I don't know. He's an interesting one that if like he does take additional steps though, like is he a guy that maybe creeps into the lineup as soon as their season's over?
Unbelievable. 3-3.
Yeah. I saw the look on your face, looked up at the TV, and it was already too late. But my OCD.
I knew it. I wasn't going to say anything when we signed on. I was going to be like, so want to bet it's going to be 3-3 by the time Hoppy's on? And I was like, no, I'm not going to. I should have verbalized it.
Dude, isn't that the LA Kings thing though? Like it could have been like 3-0 either team, and I'd be like, yeah, it's probably going to be 3-3 at the end of this.
It's been an insane start to their season. Like these are just how these games are going for LA.
I want to see Kempe sign somewhere else so bad.
God, it's unbelievably. It's fucking annoying. Anyways,
it's still. I'm hand up. I just learned this past year that he's Swedish.
Oh, really?
I don't know. What about Adrian Kempe screams Sweden?
No, I've been watching.
Like as soon as he like popped with the Kings, I've
what
been
did you think he
dialed
was?
Ever since. Huh?
Czech? Slovakia?
I had no idea. I just didn't know.
American?
He is like in my short list of like 5% of the league that's like,
like
I don't know where they're from.
Are.
I don't know. You could name any country, and I'm probably a little surprised that that's what it is. But Charlie Stramel, wrap it up. I don't know, Isha, if you had any final thoughts, but this is a guy that I think we are all just thrilled he has taken the steps he has. I'm sure some people are going to continue to be haters just because they want Gabe Perreault, even though Corey.
There's going to be 30 comments on this video from the same guy hating on Charlie Stramel. 30 different comments.
That guy hates him?
Oh, yeah.
No, he hates Bouillon.
He hates almost everybody. But
yeah, I don't think I've seen him go after Stramel, though. Maybe I've just missed it.
It's just because
lately.
Yeah, lately. You guys have pretty much said everything that I've noted as well. One just crazy thing about Michigan State, Z, you said they're such a fun team. Like they are just wild, and I think they brought in like 3 or 4 CHL guys. One of them was a Canucks prospect.
Yeah, they brought in a couple. They've also brought in like one of my favorites from last year's draft, Eric Nilsson from Sweden. Their third line is like one of my favorite lines in college hockey right now. It's like Eric Nilsson, Riker Lee. Who was it on the other side? Was it Romani? Maybe.
Yeah,
I think it was Romani.
I'm stoked he's in college hockey, dude. He's so sick.
Yeah, I think I pulled up their fucking that line's like underlying numbers the first game. And they were it was like 17 chances for, 1 against when they were ridiculous. But anyways.
All right, well, let's wrap this so we can just all dial in for the overtime here. So we got rounding out the top 10 6 through 10, Adam Banach, Riley Heidt, Carson Lambos, Hunter Haight, and Charlie Stramel. And that leaves next Monday for us to hit on the top 5 prospects of this very fun Minnesota Wild pool.